Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We just finished filming the episode you are about to watch. We smoked the Davidoff Late Hour, enjoyable stick. We talked about how elements can affect the smoking and the burn of a stick. We talked about the fact that Eric has to sit with the New York Giants cup in front of him from losing a bet. And we talked about the second wave of close downs with the coronavirus happening as well. But stick around, enjoy the episode. We are Cedar Culture.
Let's bundle these leaves and burn them and suck on them.
All right, Gary, we are smoking the Davidoff Late Hour today. We've both had this one time. Really interesting. You know, we don't always do like higher end sticks necessarily. In fact, we tend to like more like stuff that maybe isn't cheap because boutique stuff is oftentimes expensive also because of its rarity. But so we don't necessarily go for cheap stuff, but we go for boutique, like stuff that's definitely not hot, what we classify as higher end. Yeah. Definitely, we don't smoke Davidoffs regularly. You know, we don't smoke like higher end Padrones and stuff like that regularly. That's not us.
But of the high end sticks, I think this stick is really like us. You know, that
yes
dark
and no.
oily wrapper.
It is because it's dark. It's got an Oscuro wrapper, which is technically darker than Maduro.
Right.
But what's interesting, Gary, is we read for this one that it got a 92 rating on Half Wheel, and they specifically said you have to smoke it slower, one puff every 2 minutes or so. If you smoke, and the one thing I read is if you smoke it faster than that, it will not be a 92 cigar to you. And I had said that I didn't enjoy the cigar.
I remember.
I didn't know that, and so I smoked it like I normally do, which normally, a Robusto takes you maybe about an hour, and so that's what I did. But I read that it really, if you smoke it to get its best sort of flavor, it should take closer to 2 hours.
Wow!
So that I'm really excited to see smoking a little slower now. If I have a completely different experience, yeah.
And I remember, I think the one and only time I had it, it was the only stick I had. So I don't necessarily remember nursing it, but I don't remember speeding through it either. But I also remember really enjoying it.
Yeah, so that will be interesting to sort of note for you.
Can I ask you a question? When you lick the wrapper, just like you did, do you get a little salt? I got like the tiniest little bit of salt on the wrapper, and I remember it from the first time too.
Oh, specifically this cigar.
Yes.
I was going to say, remember my fun fact where like 200 hands touch a cigar?
So it's the sweat
it's salty that makes it better than tasting like something else.
I get like pretzel salt.
I definitely see what you're saying.
Okay.
100%.
I'm not crazy. I just want to make sure.
You're definitely not crazy. I get what you're saying.
And I can see where you don't say salt, but that's what I get. And I remember feeling that way. And I don't know because this is an oily wrapper. I don't know if it's that oil. Now that we looked at it again, I'm getting spice. I'm getting some red pepper.
What do you taste like a dry draw? Or what do you smell?
I smell, and I got in the dry draw. Definitely, I know we've kind of talked about how fun it is to use leather as a flavor, but that's what I get. I get like that fresh raw hide leather, but in a sweet kind of a way. Not as much chocolate and sweetness as I thought I would get, but still on the dry draw, pepper.
Yeah, I get a little bit of that. So here's what's funny, and I actually took a quote from that Half Wheel sort of description, just because I think it's funny. Like I love the reviews. I just think the phrasing of this is funny. And this quote is word for word. Wrapper smells like mud with leather, oak, and some dandelions. So it's not that it smells like mud, but it's specifically mud that has leather and oak, and not a lot of dandelions or not dandelions. It's definitively got leather, oak, but only some dandelions.
Part of me feels like that would be
that's nuanced as fuck. Now,
part of me thinks that would be you and me sitting around and go, dude, what crazy thing do you
think,
right?
No, but it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. So
not a lot of dandelion, mind.
It gets better. So this one is not a full quote. I didn't feel like writing all the words, but this
words are hard.
This one. So that wrapper smells like mud with leather, oak, and some dandelions. That's like just smelling the side of the wrapper. But if you smell the foot, according to the writer, the foot is floral. They get some bubble gum and a powdered milkshake-like chocolate. So it's not chocolate milkshake.
Dude, this is a really high end. I mean,
it's not chocolate milkshake.
Stick.
It's not chocolate. Hold on, it's not chocolate milkshake. It's milkshake-like, but it's still not milkshake-like. It's powdered milkshake-like.
Yeah.
How specific can you get?
And we've read some doozies where they're like first third dark chocolate into the third, second third of milk chocolate. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
But to be that nuanced, I'm just saying somebody that talks like that doesn't really sound like the guy at the party I want to spend time talking to. Maybe for a little bit.
Not two dandelions.
Yeah. Yeah, and what kind of dandelions? The ones that are grown on the south side of the hill on a dewy morning? Or?
Well, that's why it tends either sweet or spicy.
So this, so far, I had one puff, and it's not as spicy as the wrapper tasted. Like when we looked at it.
I still get some of the salty notes in the weirdest way. But leather and a nice, I am getting some pepper and that tobacco-y, sweet, leathery flavor. But I mean, beautiful wrapper, chocolate. Like I would say, this is chocolate brown. This looks like like he was molded out of it looks like a cake boss, like a cake decoration.
Even darker. Like it's not like a Hershey's milk chocolate. I think is lighter than this.
You're right. It's got like almost a reddish brown hue to it. But beautiful stick, beautiful construction. I believe a double cap. That's what I see at least. I might have to check. That's just my reference. I don't know.
I've had a couple puffs now. I'm actually trying to go slow, which is hard. Because we're not used to, we tend to go a little faster and we're more aggressive. But this is delicious so far. Yeah. Definitely like some espresso.
Yep. I get a dark coffee and it kind of goes with that. Like I get earth too. So I can kind of see where he's saying mud.
Fire. Wind. Hearts.
If you put all the rings together, Davidoff and Churchill come here together. Have you had anything that you think you could compare this to? Because again, it is a higher end stick, but there's a stick from Drew Estate that kind of comes to mind when I smoke this that I could kind of compare it to.
Tastes like bougie. So we mentioned it's higher end. I wanted to throw in there. Yeah, so MSRP is at $17.50.
And I think that's a rather low MSRP number for that stick. Because I want to say a box of 20 I saw was $3.76 before shipping.
Well, I actually did confirm it. So when I read the article that said $17.50, the article was written like 3 years ago, and so I went to a site and they had a 3-pack for $55 or whatever it was, and it came out to like pretty much $17.50.
Okay.
So I confirmed it at least on the one site. We also didn't mention, and I'll answer your question on what it tastes like in a second. But real quick, just to check off some of the other boxes here, we mentioned it's a dark Oscuro wrapper, Ecuadorian. The filler is actually interesting because some Nicaraguan, some Dominican. Yep. We've got a San Andreas binder. It's rolled at the Davidoff factory in the Dominican Republic. So it is absolutely not a pure. This thing's got its foot in all kinds of different countries, which is awesome. I love the blend. And I guess real quick too, just while I'm on the country thing to note. So Davidoff himself though is a Swiss company,
right?
And so I decided to rock the crazy monkey hat today, which is that stick we had a few weeks ago. Just happens to be like a startup boutique Swiss company. Right. So I figured I'd rock the Swiss flag for the Davidoff.
I like that. I like that a lot. And the cool thing about the Late Hour, the stick we're smoking, is it was barrel fermented in I saw Scotch whiskey casks. That's
Scotch, yeah.
So that may be where that little bit of bite and saltiness is kind of coming from.
I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to mention that, and
because we're not big Scotch guys.
I don't like Scotch.
Yeah, I'm not a Scotch.
Flat out don't like Scotch.
I would take bourbon any day of the week over a Scotch, and even just some traditional.
I don't get. I don't get anything offensive. Bite. I don't get the bite. Now I know that. Let's say I hate Scotch. There's some Scotches I like because I know Scotches can be. They say either more peaty, smoky, or more, I don't know, something else, trash. And so like I think it's the majority of Scotches are the ones I don't like, but you get some that are peaty that I don't mind. I don't know which of the variations this is, peaty or trashy, but
this is probably the most oily of wrappers that I've had in a long time, where you can literally see the sheen of the oils like on the stick.
Yeah. I see what you're saying for sure.
Like it's even.
I'm trying to think. Like if I agree with this. Sorry, I agree. I see the oils. I'm trying to agree if I think it's like one of the most. But you're probably right. I don't know.
I guess in terms of touch, like you literally can feel.
I know, and it's cool. And it's heating up. It's heating up as you smoke it too. I'm trying to go slow.
Mm.
I keep trying to remind myself to go a little slow. So since I can't take a puff right now, I got to wait another 30 seconds before I'm allowed to take a puff to try to let this develop. I know. I legit put the rogue timer on there or whatever.
CrossFit
I know. But see, I almost took a puff. But all right, let's take a quick second.
And it's teaching us restraint.
I definitely need help with that. So I'll just mention really quickly, normally at the end of the episode, we like to ask you guys to go ahead and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, or follow, subscribe, whatever, on any of your platform of choice. If you haven't already, hit us up on Instagram and follow us there, please, too. Really helps us out. Shameless plug over.
I like it.
So,
good insight.
So before we I guess continue. Well, first, what were you going to say? What's the stick specifically that this reminds you of?
So the only stick I can kind of compare this to that I've had in my repertoire is the Pappy Van Winkle barrel.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason, I thought you were going to say like You're the Rat or something, and I was going to wholeheartedly disagree.
No. Just they're the only two barrel fermented sticks that I know that are kind of advertised as such. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Pappy's in the Pappy. This is in the.
I have another one. What was the brand? Diesel.
Diesel has a cask.
There's
as well.
in the sherry cask.
And Camacho has a really cool line that I want to check out because they have like the
they have
line
a
of
lot of whiskey
Camacho
ones too.
and rums, but
Yeah.
And
I see.
In
I'm
my
not
big drinking
normally.
days, I was a rum guy, so that sweetness, I'd like to see if it comes through.
That would be cool. Rum,
that.
I could see. The thing for me, it's interesting. As much as I love bourbon, I tend not to like bourbon aged things. As an example, I love bourbons. I love stout beers. But bourbon barrel aged stouts, I tend not to like, and I think it's because it just imparts a certain booziness that outweighs the benefit to me, and just makes it taste more boozy and less desirable. I don't know.
I can see that.
But as this thing develops, I'm not getting a whole lot of changes right now.
Steady.
But it is, I would say, smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It is maybe medium. Like I'm not overwhelmed. I'm also not taking a lot of puffs.
That smoke linger too.
Yeah, it is. Well, we're kind of surrounded by blankets too. That kind of holds all the smoke in and stuff. But I don't know. But
you know what I like about this too? I'm getting a good scent off the smoke, like actually the scent off the 100%. Stick itself, not my retrohale. Like the smoke coming off the stick has like an incense quality to it.
So I wanted to talk about that really quick. Actually,
really
talk about like that smoke coming off. So last week, the episode we shot last was the crema. Espinosa Crema. And remember how thick and pillowy that smoke was? And that's one of the things that I think really lent to how like the mouthfeel and therefore how much we enjoyed that cigar.
Sure.
We really enjoyed that one. And a big part of that was the texture of that smoke. And remember actually even towards the end, later in the episode, when it changed.
Yeah.
And actually I was just editing that before we shot today. And I don't know if you remember, at one point mine changed before yours, and I pointed at the smoke and I said, "Look, yours is still thick and pillowy.
Yeah.
Mine, you
can
see it in the video."
Wow.
So it's really worth checking out near the end of the Espinosa video because, it goes into. I learned a really big lesson a couple of days after that, which was a couple of days ago. Now, I had some friends over for the Eagles game, and two of the guys, they're newer to smoking, and if you remember, Gary, we had both said, wow, this would be like a great cigar for a new smoker.
Absolutely.
So I gave them each one. Now, it was a really windy day, and my buddy who was standing next to me, I happened to look down, he was maybe like an inch into it, and I was going to ask him how he's enjoying it. In fact, I did ask him, and I saw like a little hesitation in his face, and in my head, I'm thinking, there's no fucking way he doesn't like it. Like It's creamy
mild,
and
smooth
and sweet and creamy and thick. It's like it'd be like somebody saying that they don't like donut. Like you know what I mean? Like even if you don't love it, like you take a bite, you're gonna at least say, yeah, I like that. But as I asked him and I saw his reaction and I looked at the stick, and his ash was like a dark, acrid, blackish, gray, whatever. Like not the lighter, brighter,
nice
ash that we had that lent to the creamy smoke. And I realized in that moment, I was smoking a Dogma. So like a Maduro Dogma, it's kind of flat. And the way I was holding it, the wind was hitting one big flat side of that cigar because it's like a really box pressed.
Yeah.
And that side, like mine, it was burning terribly. like the side that the wind was hitting was burnt, like an inch and a half down. And I know as I'm saying this isn't like crazy fucking science. Like I'm not blowing anybody's mind, but like in that moment, people always talk about weather conditions, and I just kind of maybe didn't put a lot of weight into it. But when I saw that the effects, like Dogma, I've had a ton of underground.
Yeah,
I know how they burn. And so when I saw that, the effect the wind was having on it, the effect on my experience, and then kind of applied that to his cigar, completely ruined the stick. And it sucks because like I only had like 4 more of them, and I gave them those 2, so I can't really give them any more. And I really talked the stick up, and they now are like, really, Eric? Like I don't now, and so just all a long story, like a lesson to let people know, like how much the conditions really can affect the taste of a cigar.
And you're the one that really reminded me of that, because remember I sent you the picture sitting outside, and you were like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I'm on my porch," and you're like, "Isn't it windy as shit?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah." So like literally, mine was tunneling weird. I had to touch up the side, and like you said, the conditions. Obviously, it's optimal to smoke in here, no wind, protected from the elements. You can control the burn a little bit better. Yeah, absolutely. And it sucks to ruin a newer cigar smoker's experience on sticks that, like we said, this is the perfect beginner stick.
I know.
But going back to what your research showed, that even on a high quality stick like this, not weather conditions, but just the fact that you're smoking it faster is going to burn the tobacco quicker and hotter and fuck up the experience.
Yeah, and it did. Well, and then the Eagles got their ass kicked.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I'm like, I figured I gave you that lead in.
You definitely did. I appreciate it. You're a man of your word.
Yeah.
I give you that.
So, hold on, let me finish my thought.
Yep.
So, speaking of ruining the experience, the Eagles lost so bad, that ruined my experience. They lost to the Giants.
Well, and you're right, because I forget what you were, was it that
No, this is when you bust out the...
Oh, no, I know that. So Eric and I made a friendly bet, gentleman's bet. We were either going to do sticks, or someone would have to wear the other person's gear. Being a Giants fan versus an Eagles fan, Giants came out victorious. Eagles won the week before. It's always fun when those two teams get together. But his penance is he's got to sit with angry Tom Coughlin in front of him. But the Nirvana stickers...
that's actually awesome. So people watching this have to stare at angry Tom Coughlin. I actually get to stare at like the little Nirvana squiggly smiley face thing. So not too bad.
So it could be worse.
But it still hurts. It still burns. I know what's over there, and I know it's like shining through me. But yeah, look, I mean, the Eagles are still... the holding first place in the NFC East for now, but it feels pretty clear to me that the Giants kind of have it to there if they want it.
If we can
and
continue
so
to play,
so we'll see. Right now, but then I was going to say right now the Eagles are just like suffering from kind of a lot of dysfunction, which is rare. That's uncommon for the Eagles. It's like the kind of back office. Coach to player relationships tend to be pretty good in Philly.
Yeah.
For the Eagles. And I was going to say that's not the case this year. Like now there's just all kinds of stuff between, rumors between the coach and the quarterback and so forth and so on. But then when I was going to say, I'm talking about dysfunction, I think it was just yesterday or something like that. One of your coaches almost punched the other coach and then got fired and whatever. So plenty of dysfunction there too for you guys to
the good news is everyone seems to be rallying around Judge is a young coach. It's just kind of cool to see a guy about our age.
It's crazy.
Friggin' coaching an NFL team.
Makes you second guess your life decisions.
No. Hey, my life decisions led me sitting next to you doing this right now. See?
Be still my beating heart.
You know what I wanted to ask you about the stick? Because I know you have a very good eye for design, and you like pop culture and labels and stuff like that. What do you think of when you see the kind of flat black, like really clean label with the gold?
My first thing is fuck's the name's not coming. Alfred Hitchcock.
I was gonna say Hitchcock or Perry Mason. That's kind of what it reminds me.
Yeah,
of.
I can see Perry Mason.
But it's a cool.
But it's definitely Hitchcock.
Profile.
Like if you take that cigar out of his mouth, it's fucking Hitchcock. Like Hitchcock, like it's the same body too, kind of.
That would be a cool line for a stick, the Hitchcock series.
I like one that you had said a while ago, the Reservoir Dogs one. And you can just do like just a color band. Yeah. Somebody's gonna do it, but at least we'll have it documented that we thought of it.
Today's day, right? Yep, yeah, absolutely. Date, timestamp. But no, definitely like Mr. Blonde. You could have a great Connecticut, and
and for the bands, like they could just be simple, just a color, color band, and everybody knows what it means. No copyright, trademark infringement. And,
I like that.
and go forth from there. But well, speaking of a movie, so
reach out if you can help us get that dream fulfilled.
I don't know why why I just said speaking of movie, but
Because you were talking about
but you were saying something earlier before we started recording. You were like, "Oh, I want to ask you something about Bruce Springsteen." I was like, "Okay, well, ask me on the air."
Yeah. Because you said So, my ADHD brain, like, even on my 28-minute ride to here, I probably listen to like 30 something,
me
listen
too.
to the first half.
I do the same thing.
First, and we do that like even sitting out by the by the pool.
Yeah.
We'll go like 80 song for 80 song, and then we'll get stuck on one and listen to it 3 times in a row. Singing along. Ash holds really well onto the stick too. I'm just doing it so I don't end up dropping it on my lap. But a song came on, and I listened to the entire song, and I realized like it's one of my favorite Bruce songs. So it just led me to this kind of question: Bruce, Jersey. So I just kind of wanted to know, as a guy from New Jersey, what's the quintessential Bruce Springsteen song for you? Like when you think Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, quintessential. All right, so that's different than my favorite, or.
No, I guess I'll make it easier. When you think of Bruce Springsteen, like what's your go-to Bruce Springsteen song? And it could be it could be one of the hits. It could be a deep cut.
I was gonna say like when you just say like when I say Bruce Springsteen, what's the first song that comes to mind? It's definitely like one of the bigger hits, like a Born to Run or something.
Well, that's what I mean. So like what?
Definitely, like Born to Run, like that's the.
And I love Born to Run.
What comes to my mind, but in terms of favorites, like there's a couple other ones that actually like some of the titles are escaping me.
Right.
Like I know that, when I hear it, and one of the I don't know, it's gonna drive me fucking crazy now.
Sing it, and I'll tell you what it is. Or at least say the lyrics.
No, there's no way. There's gonna be a recording of me
sing it. I'm saying say the lyrics.
But there's the one. Well, it's like the.
It's about cars and girls.
Yeah, exactly. It's about cars and girls. No, it's about or it's like something like cuts like a knife, baby, edgy and dull, like a freight train running through Moscow. Yeah.
Wow, I can't.
I'm on fire.
I got a bad desire. Oh, I'm on fire.
Yeah.
There we go.
So that's your song? That's one of them.
Okay.
And then there's another more poppy, melodic one that I can't even get like the tune or the lyrics in my head right now.
Because now he's coming out with newer stuff, and I thought like I had what I liked about him, and then like off one of the newer ones. It's not the newest, but "Girls in Their Summer Clothes" is a freaking awesome song, and like it's like this little B-side on a newer album.
I don't know if I knew that one off the top of my head.
But "Thunder Road" is like my if I listen to it. Or if I hear it on a radio station.
Is that different than the Garth Brooks one? Didn't Garth Brooks have a Thunder Road song?
He probably did, but no.
Or Thunder Rolls?
Thunder Rolls is Garth Brooks. Yeah, so, but it's a longer song, and I found myself, I was like, oh my God, I consciously realized I listened to it all the way through. Like that song stopped my ADD, and I didn't need to jump around and switch. So for that 4 or 5, 6 minute whatever rendition it was.
Like Bruce Springsteen's known for kind of being like an everyman's kind of musician, celebrity or whatever, And he had this special on Netflix, which I'm like kind of boycotting Netflix. I got rid of it. I just think Netflix rested on their laurels too long, and there's just better streaming services now. Yeah. But he said in his special, he was talking about Born to Run, and he was talking about like being a boy that like had to get up and get out, like Born to Run, like that's what it's about. Like, and he said a line from the song, and I forget what it was too, but it was like about like just spreading your wings and getting out there. And then he's like, and I wrote that song about 30 miles from where I'm shooting this, and I'm right back where I started. like just made like a joke, like kind of cool. Like ripping himself, like,
I was so on Broadway.
It was that thing, yeah.
Because I heard like, there's a lot of talking about.
Yeah,
it. I gotta see it for that.
I couldn't watch it. It was
I would fast forward through the songs probably, but I like to hear the stuff, the story behind the song, because that's what I mean. Like you and I are both music guys, and I think
kind of. I'm a music hack guy, like. I like poppy stuff. I like the pop culture side of it. I usually have a good like recollection for stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like in the fact that like music, like I was telling someone the other day, I was like, music is kind of like my religion. It's like my catharsis. It's my like. There's things I like to listen to while I'm walking or working out. There's things I like to listen to driving. There's things I like to listen to by the pool. There's things I like to listen to just sitting back and smoking.
But that's what, like I'm really into it from that angle. Like I have a good music appreciation in that way.
Eclectic, right?
Definitely eclectic, but I don't have like I'm definitely not an audiophile. Like you're not coming to me to learn about the deep cuts of any artist or this or that. In fact, I always say like I'm not a fan of artists. I'm a fan of songs.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Like so I don't go deep with them.
And that gives you the freedom to like obscure stuff or like the one hit wonder from the '90s where we're like, why would you still listen to that? Well, I like it. It sounds good.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. How's the stick progressing for you? So I don't feel like I'm holding true to as slow as I'm supposed to be smoking.
No,
and neither of us are.
Not. And I think that's why the ash is getting a little wonky.
It is too, right? Like it's the ash is getting a little loose.
Yeah,
and that's what they specifically said. Like you have to smoke it kind of slower. So we'll try to slow down a little bit.
Not high end, we're
maybe that's part of it too. Like we're just you can't you can dress us up, but you can't take us out. Like,
right. We're gonna sit here and smoke that we want to smoke and talk about what we're gonna talk about. And, but I will say it hasn't gotten bitter on me. I don't feel like it's running too hot.
It's not.
I'm actually enjoying it more than I remember enjoying it. But I will give it that there's no flavor change. I like the flavor, but I'm not getting that roller coaster of some of the boutique stuff that we've been smoking that'll take you kind of on a journey through the thirds. But
I'm not getting a journey, but
the only thing in and out of pepper I'll get kind of some slight pepper, or the pepper will change from like a white light pepper to a more reddish back of my throat retrohale pepper.
Yeah,
it's the only change I note.
I get that too. I would call that note of like maybe kind of pepper in and pepper out, but like especially with what we're used to smoking, I feel like to even say this as any pepper is almost like because it's not on that scale of like stuff we've been smoking, like the black label latte type stuff. So I'm always getting like hotcakes, which is weird because I don't ever call pancakes hotcakes. But I'm like just like warm and
feel the
warm.
I get like a syrupy.
Almost. Yeah,
I can see how this would go really well with a bourbon or like
this
a nice drink.
This would because I don't like doing spicier sticks with a bourbon because the bourbon bites a little bit, the spicy stick bites, and I don't think that's a good pairing. Like some people pair for likeness.
Yeah.
I like to pair for differences.
No, same way.
Usually.
Yeah, I was actually going to grab some vanilla cream soda, which I was out of, but I got birch beer. So I'm the same. I really think I would have enjoyed the pairing of the sweet vanilla better than the birch beer, which is spicy and has a bite, which I think could be leading into why I'm feeling the spice. It could be that pairing. So it's not unenjoyable, but I think fooling around with the things you pair it with could change and influence it. But apparently Churchill liked to drink too, so this is kind of the homage to that late hour of as he's kind of finishing up his 38th or however many cigars he used to smoke a day. He'd be drinking at night too.
I was in the when I was in a brick and mortar a few weeks ago. Some guy walking by randomly said to me, "What did they call Churchills before Winston Churchill smoked them?" Like literally, he just asked me that.
Did he give you an answer?
No, it was a question.
Oh, like he was literally. Oh, I thought he was dad. Like, hey, what did they?
Yeah, no.
It's a good question.
So, what would you have said to like if some stranger comes up to you and says like, "What did they call?" I
would have said they call it a mind your own business.
Really? I don't think that's what you would have said.
I'd have probably said something smart and stupid, at the same time.
Yeah.
But or did they make that size because up to what he would have made specifications?
I completely lied out my ass. Or I could be right, but when he asked me that, I was like, "Oh, they didn't make them before that." Like, didn't skip a beat.
Good for you. I
was like, good for you. You lied to the stranger.
You weren't lying about where the hospital was.
I know. But that's the thing. Like, you kind of like a weird, awkward question as he was walking by me. So I'm like, this is the answer you get.
What was not that it really matters, but what was his like? That was he older than you? Younger than you?
Makes it a little tough with math, but I'm definitely a little older. Okay. Definitely a little older than me. But like I don't know. I'm 37. I feel like every episode we're like guessing our own ages. I'm 37. He was 48 and a half.
Okay.
To 54. I don't know.
Wow, it's a range. I was actually just talking to a coworker about how like as we enter our 40s, we're just such a age like. We're not young enough to someone to be like, "Hey, really good work doing what you're supposed to do," and you're not old enough for someone to be like, "Hey, do you need help with this?"
That's how I felt.
We're at this like weird age where they're like, Just do your job, shut your mouth, go home and raise your
I
family.
think we're like, but I think we're on the cusp of the next age, unfortunately. Like exactly what you just said. It's funny you say that because that's how I felt at turning 30. Like I always said that 25 is the best age because if you can fake it pretty well, like people will respect you as an adult.
True.
But you can totally play the I'm just a kid card when you fuck up at 25.
I didn't know.
But that's like the range. Like that's about as old as you get for that.
Although I
felt like when I hit 30, I felt like that's when you get in. You're definitively in that where you're like, people discount you for being young sometimes when it works against you, but they also don't let you have the excuse of being young. So you're like in a shitty in between. But I feel like we're getting to the point where it's like, dude, you're 40. Like we're middle age. Like we're standing at the top of the hill almost.
I hope middle age. I hope you. If you can guarantee I see 80, I'm a happy dude sitting here today. Like,
you'll see 80. I mean, barring.
Okay. Yeah, right. But I mean, will I? Like, Ali said the same. I was like to my wife, I was like, what do you think? She's like, I don't know, 84. I was like, you think I want to make 84?
I don't know that I give you 84, but I give you 80.
those 4 years are going to be rough.
Yeah.
Depends on how many cigars we smoke. But I think it's just funny. Like, I still think of myself as the younger guy, but I'm in education. The kids are obviously getting younger. I'm getting grayer. It's just different. Yeah. But like one of the newer coworkers was like, "Well, you've been here a while. Like, and I was like, 15, 14 years, 15 years in my career.
I know we're at that age where we can actually say
people expect us to know stuff like right then, not to be like, let me look into that. Like, dude, no, you've been doing this. What do we do? Oh, it's
that's true. And we're also at an age where we can intelligently speak about things that happened 2 decades ago. Like we were sentient for 2 decades ago. Like yeah. So that's interesting, right? When you're having a conversation with somebody and you just get to that age where you're like, well, 20 years ago, like I was doing blah 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 blah, and it was like something I was doing at a job. Like I was working. I was in high school still.
Or where you were when something like a major thing happened and you were like, yeah, I was in college.
Dude, yeah, I mean, for me, it's 9/11.
Right.
I was in boot camp. Like how many people were in boot camp during 9/11?
Right.
That's measured in like, in the thousands, but like in the low like very low thousands.
Right. Unbelievable. I had just retrohaled and I got a really nice flavor. I don't know what it was, but it was different.
Cigar?
Yeah. Oh, the flavor?
Yeah.
It was cigar.
It was cigar.
Almost like alcohol, like in a weird way.
Well, I mean, barrel aged.
So barrel aged, yeah.
But yeah, I don't get a lot of like pungent notes or whatever from that. But let's go ahead and take a break real quick. And I'm gonna go ahead. This is the first episode I haven't had like any liquor or anything. Maybe I'll go grab a drink. And
I was gonna say, I'm always worried about you.
Come back. All right, Gary. So we are past the halfway point on the stick now. You were saying you're getting some new interesting notes. What are you getting?
So I would say that it's staying consistent with that leathery, tobacco-y, flavor. But on the last 2 or 3 retrohales, I got almost like a dried cherry or a little bit of raisin.
Okay.
Like actually, and not like overwhelming, but like at the end of the retrohale, I just got kind of the nuance of that, and I thought that was kind of a cool flavor, like either a dark black cherry or a raisin or something like that.
Nice. I don't get it, but I'm glad you do.
Yeah, it does.
Something else I noticed, or we were kind of just saying before we took a little break there, is that the reviewer we read was, if you smoke it like you normally do, it'll be an hour. But I recommend you slow down and make it a 2-hour smoke. So that's what we're trying to do, somewhat unsuccessfully, because we noted we're like kind of halfway through and we're about 30 minutes into the smoke. But but I am enjoying it.
It's who we are, buddy. It's who we are.
I know. But I am enjoying it. Yeah. I'm enjoying it more than I did last time.
I think I am too. I liked it the first go.
I don't know. I don't feel like there's any degradation of this taste because we're smoking it at the pace we are, but I don't know because I've never smoked it over 2 hours.
Right.
So I don't know, but I just wanted to kind of throw my 2 cents in there. If anybody, I doubt it, but if anybody read a review and was intimidated to try it because it was going to take you 2 hours, I don't know.
Don't let that be the reason.
Don't let that be the reason. For us, it's going to be probably an hour and 10-minute smoke. and we're gonna
unless
and we
the
love
second half burns super
super slow. But and you know and we're gonna love it. So and it's time, you know, these times in general, you know, living in the moment is so important, more than ever. You know, obviously with the election stuff and the pandemic, that, you know, I think a lot of times do you catch yourself? I know I catch myself saying, when the pandemic was going on, this happened.
Yeah.
Did you hear people using that phrase ever? Like, I do, and we're still in a pandemic, and I think those people, they're not trying to say we're not. It's just I think we got so used to it, and the shutdowns, the restrictions loosened to where you're doing things relatively normally just with a mask.
Right.
And so I would hear a lot of people say like, oh, well, during the pandemic, this happened. During the pandemic, it sucked because of this. And it's like,
during the ongoing
well,
pandemic.
we're still in the pandemic, number one. And number two, dude, these shutdowns, I live alone. So like these shutdowns suck, like in a big way. The girl I'm dating, like she has family from the Dominican Republic. She lost her job because of she works in the restaurant industry, and they're shut down right now. It's mid-November and they're shut down. They already said till Jan 1, like at least, like don't even come back. So she's thinking about like just going back to the Dominican and spend time with family and stuff.
Wow.
But which was cool. She said, she's like, let me know what, like these are made in the Dominican Republic. And like, can she get them for like $5? I don't know, maybe. Probably not,
we'll
but
write
maybe.
up a little wish list.
That's what she's totally. And dude, it was her idea.
That's fantastic.
She's like, well, all in there. Let me know.
Thank you in advance. You know what? Just kind of going off, I was thinking, I love that phrase you're saying, live in the moment. And sometimes having a higher end cigar kind of kicks you in the butt a little bit. Reminds you where you're like sitting down with we'll call it a $18, $20 stick with a good friend, good conversation. I think that's what the culture really revolves around.
Speaking of which, so I'm going to, and I'm curious what you're doing for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is actually, first off, Thanksgiving is next Thursday. Second off, we always film on Thursday, so we actually have to talk about what we're doing next week. Didn't even think of that.
We're filming. I canceled dinner. No turkeys.
Smokies. But what I'm actually doing is going to a friend's house. It's a couple. They live just a couple, and I'm going to go there. It's going to be just the three of us.
Nice.
You know, as a way to sort of keep older people in our family safe, not doing anything there, keep the group still relatively small. And we all have these, like with you and I, where we're like kind of in each other's extended bubble to an extent. And, you know, I've been kind of in their extended bubble since the pandemic and everything started. So that's what we're going to do. But he said to me, he said, hey, man, he's like, he actually said, he's like, is there like a $50 stick that you've been wanting to try?
Nice.
And we should do that. My response to him was, well, one, no, because I just actually don't even look at $50 sticks. So there's not one that I've been dying to try, but I actually had mentioned to him that we won more of those Saka coffins.
Oh, right.
And so I told him I'd bring him one of those.
And
so,
I'm going to tell you, it's not a $50 stick, but that was a fantastic.
Yeah, that was in this range.
Oh yeah,
$17 to $20. But yeah, you said like how the higher end memorializes things, if nothing else, mentally.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, you can have just as much fun with a black and mild sitting with a good friend, you know, like you know, just like drinking a good wine out of a styrofoam cup or something. It's the experience. It's the time. But because this is a higher end stick, did you notice no issues getting the label off? I mean, little things.
Little things like that. That's actually a good. So
like there's no. It eases.
It drives us both crazy.
It just eases the smoking experience where you're not like, oh man, am I going to have a blowout by the wrapper? Oh man, you know, am I going to get it off without?
It's funny you say that because sometimes when we smoke sticks, you know, you'll notice, like the stick might swell a little bit, and that then gets the band really tight, and sometimes it could, like, I don't know if it puts extra stress on the band. It sometimes makes the band hard to pull off. Sometimes when they put the band on, they get a little touch of glue on the leaf, and then and I'm trying to like clip this thing apart while it's stuck in it, and it's super frustrating. So it's a great call out. Just the craftsmanship, like that extra layer of quality in the craftsmanship.
Just, I mean, we're more than halfway through. Way better. No issues, you know.
Zero touch-ups. The band, came off at the appropriate time when I wanted it to come off, with no resistance, no issues. But what are you doing on Thanksgiving?
So we're still going to try to get together with some extended family. It's hard, like you said. You're single, so I have to be conscious because just me and my wife and kids is 5 people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I can't be like, we're coming. Yeah. So I think we're going to try to do some shift work between the families as people kind of like rotate through and kind of keep we're gonna do a little bit of time with my in-laws. Then we're gonna go to my sister's because it's funny. It's my father-in-law's birthday, right around that time. That's my nephew's birthday, so we're gonna try to hit like two houses in shifts, so we're not all infecting each other all at the same time. But then we're all in
still seeing each. It's tough.
It's hard
to know what's the right thing. I mean, one side of my family is doing actually like an outdoors socially distanced
and
thing.
we may end up, depending on the weather, doing that, like having the seating really, really spread out that way, which trying to comply.
But there's like half of my family is still not kind of going because maybe they don't feel comfortable. Got others from my family, like some of my extended family is actually getting married 2 days before, like Tuesday,
really,
in Florida. So I've got like my parents are going to actually be there anyway at the wedding, and so with them not coming to visit and this and that and everything, decided to just keep it really low key and local. My buddy lives like one town over. We'll go over there.
What are you doing Friday? You have any plans Friday?
No,
we should Black
Friday.
We should do like a Black Friday fire smoke thing with some buddies.
Yeah, we'll talk. We can do that. We can talk about it later, but we can actually maybe shoot our episode that day.
That would be really fun. Do like a remote smoke day, or have everyone come in.
Here,
that'd be cool.
Throw the fire pit out front. Have like a fun, different style episode or something like that. That'll be our 10th episode that we're recording.
So maybe it's
we'll
kind of serendipitous,
something different, something off there. But yeah, back to just the shutdown stuff. So now, and this will actually be interesting. We'll kind of maybe rewatch this episode 20 years from now when we're older. But so with what's going on right now, I mean, just lockdowns are interestingly strict, quick, and probably for good reason in a lot of cases. But I know in Philly, all indoor dining is just done. I think, just done one fell swoop. A bunch of other businesses, other non retail, just more corporate businesses, they're all back to working from home in the city, 100%. Everything's just went straight to lockdown, and we're mid-November, so we might be in for a long haul.
And it's funny because we literally just met my parents yesterday to do outdoor dining for the first time since the pandemic. We usually get takeout and hang out together, but we went. The restaurant was dead, so we're we'll sit here. Yeah, and it was nice. We got to spend a few hours before a crowd of 2 or 3 people come in, just to the Victory Bar. Right
the one by
They do a wing special on Wednesdays, and my kids are all about it. So they're Wing Wednesday, since the pandemic. So like you said, it's normalcy. It is now.
Were you doing Wing Wednesday pre-pandemic or no? Oh,
we were cooking. So we kind of to try to A, help some local businesses, which we're all about, and B, we really love the food. And my kids got into wings, and as parents know, trying to stretch a dollar when they're doing a buy 10 get 10, and you have 3 kids who all like those wings. We're
Dude, when they talk about boys eating parents out of house and home or whatever, man, your boys as they get bigger, they are gonna eat you out. I remember being a kid, and I remember even one of my friend's parents getting annoyed that I would go over there and eat chips a lot with my friend after school every day, and those little things. And I remember thinking I don't know, money grows on trees, right, and that kind of thing. So you just don't get the value. But now thinking as your boys get older, that will increase your grocery bill monthly by hundreds of dollars.
So we'll set up a GoFundMe page now.
Set up a GoFundMe. You need to set up a trough where people can just drop food in.
My wife was talking about that today. So I did Thursdays. I give them a choice. I said either breakfast for dinner or grilled cheese. They chose breakfast this time,
which is genius because it's kind of the same thing. You make a egg and cheese sandwich, and if they're no, we just want cheese instead, you're eggs instead.
Exactly. So everyone, it gives the illusion that they're getting what they want, but it's still easy. One
same ingredients, pretty much. Yeah.
But Holden had 3.5 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches.
3.5?
Yeah.
On what?
On 2 slices of white bread, bacon, scrambled eggs, and cheese on each one. So for the fourth one, that 3.5, I was get 1 piece of bread and just fold it in half. And then Allie reminded me, she's he had 5 hot dogs the other night, on things with relish fixing. He's 9.
Holy shit.
He's going to be a big dude.
Dude, I don't eat that much.
I can't eat 5 hot dogs. I would be sick for 2 days.
That's awesome.
But literally, even when we order Domino's, it gets a large pot, he gets one himself. He's a big kid. So
dude, and even pizza is not cheap these days.
Even when you do again for a family of 5, if they're doing the $7.99, luckily I'm kind of keto, so I'm like I'll have the toppings of like Josie. She didn't want the pepperoni off that slice, I'll eat it. But because if not, I'd probably have to eat a pie or two.
Oh, for Domino's especially, because their pies, like their larges aren't that big.
Mm-hmm.
They're delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I love Domino's.
It's it has a good Domino's and Taco Bell are good late night. You've been making some bad decisions that evening.
Yeah.
Good way to end the night and reflect on
For me,
decisions.
actually, Domino's can definitely be a late drunk thing, but Domino's and Taco Bell for me are also like day after hungover stuff.
I've never had Taco Bell the next day. Like a hungover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's actually primarily when I've had Taco Bell. Like for a long time, I would get Taco Bell like most Sundays. And then for another long time, I would get Domino's like most Sundays as like the hungover, getting ready to go back to work the next day kind of thing.
And you know what's funny? Different pizza, like different places, regional are so different. Like we're doing Friday pizza at my in-laws. We have been, and their pizza place, Papa Luigi. You ever have a Papa Luigi pizza? It's a chain.
I've seen it.
They load on the cheese and toppings. So for me to take 2 slices and get some stuff off, like I get a substantial amount. Whereas you go to another place and it's like 1 or 2 pieces of like I had a plate of sausage and melted cheese. It was great. It was great.
It's a great diet.
People are like, "This is healthy." I'm like, "Oh yeah, big time."
Big only lost 120 pounds or whatever. So sure, why not?
I always joke. I'm like, no one cared when I was eating like 4 bowls of Lucky Charms for dinner. Like no one batted an eye. Now I'm like, well, I'm doing. Wow, it's unhealthy. Like,
I know. I've been working on the diet thing too. I'm on a new lifting routine, which I fulfilled like my lifting days last week and this week, sticking with it for 2 weeks. Been cleaning up the diet a little bit. That's why I'm not drinking. Today actually I decided not to grab a drink on our break because I'm just going to stick with it. I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going on a crazy diet or anything like that, but I'm trying to make some better decisions. The way I sort of treat it typically is like pretty much from November to like March that's the time I have to diet. Because once March hits, it's just the weather starts getting nice. You want to go to those beer gardens. You start seeing friends a little bit more. And especially this year, if we have like a 5-month lockdown or something like that, we're really going to want to be going out and doing things. And then when summer comes and my pool opens, for me, then summer is just hold on for dear life. Like try not to gain weight. Try not to gain too much weight. The weekends are bad. I'm doing tons of fasting during the week and like maybe some keto or whatever. Just trying to do what I can, and then typically the way that works out is I gain about 10 pounds during the summer, and then I fight for dear life for about 5 months to take it off and do it all over again.
I know, it's this cycle.
I won't say I refuse. I just, as much as I want to, obviously do that all the time, be more healthy and everything, it just always goes back to that quality of life thing too. And everybody has their own quality of life thing. Like, so I'm not saying like diet and exercise all the time. If that's
balance,
your thing,
man.
It doesn't make it like, I'm not saying you don't have a quality life. It's just, I wouldn't feel like I have a quality life.
And you know what's killing me? I miss for the physical piece and for the mental piece. I miss walking, like with the cold and how cold it is. Like I miss going for a 10-mile walk.
Dude, I did it. I did like a 10-mile walk on Wednesday. Yesterday. Nice. I don't know if you got the notification or if you noticed it on the watch. But
did I not send you an alert after we got finished?
No. I figured you would for that one because like you'd get the notification for like 10 miles. I figured you'd be like, whoa.
No, I must have not seen
I did like 10 miles yesterday, and it was like, when I started the walk, it was like 40 degrees, I think. Not terrible, but... by
the time you finished, I'm sure it was way colder.
No, because, it warmed up. Like, actually, because it was the morning. So
you did the morning, okay.
Yeah. So, exactly. So, it started warming up a little bit. And then just through the walk, like, you warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. My hands weren't cold. I had, like, thin gloves on. Not bad. So, I'm going to keep doing some walks. For sure.
I really need to through the winter. I can't let that go.
You can't go 5 months with doing nothing.
No, I'll be... not good. And like I said, I cleaned out I did the way. I actually bought some bumpers to try to do some cleans and stuff.
Did you?
Routine. Yeah. I found some used bumpers on the Facebook yard sale site. So
nice.
Pulled the trigger on those.
When?
A couple weeks ago.
What were they going for? Do you remember? Because remember, like midst of when the pandemic first blew up, dude, equipment was more expensive on Facebook than it was new
because you couldn't get
because it was sold out new.
No, this wasn't bad. It was actually a guy I hit up before, and he had ran out of stuff, and he said, "Hey, listen, before I posted for this, do you want to come get it for this?" And we kind of made a nice little.
That's awesome.
Deal. And it was good. I said, I'm just throwing myself a little early Christmas gift and towards health. If I can do that, I have the platform, I have the good bar. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you getting the same flavors, but the strength picked up a little bit? Does that make sense?
It does.
I'm not getting a flavor profile change, but I'm getting like a strength change in that
So-
final third.
Did you read that in any of the reviews or anything?
No.
It's funny you say that. I read that in one of the reviews. So I didn't write it down and I didn't bring it up. I just kind of, but now you say that. I think the phrase the guy used or girl that wrote the review used was something about like in the final third, it went from like medium to full on nicotine and never let up. That's what they said.
Wow.
So you're right on from the expert.
And I'm still getting I'm getting like a dried fruit, like retrohale.
I know what you mean.
Almost
I
a la
don't get that.
the archetype sage advice.
Yeah,
Like,
see on that I
this is-
get the
you
I
get
straight up would call that like almost like I think what you're calling like raisin I would say like pruny or something
Okay.
like that. So I definitely know the flavor note you're talking about, but I'm not catching that on this one personally, and I didn't write down a ton of.
I don't know if I
notes.
want to because the sage advice is the combo between Davidoff and them. Like it's the collab, but no, it's good. I mean, steady flavor, steady burn.
Oh no, it's a quality stick. Is it worth $17.50? That's up to you. I mean,
Right.
that's up to the person. What they like. Some people just can afford it and
Right,
just like
like if
name
it's-
brand stuff.
Right,
And
or
so,
high end. Like I have a buddy who smokes Cubans, and I was like, there's other like Cubans are great. The Cubans
Mhm.
I've had, but as a pain in the ass to get them and to figure that out, it's difficult. I was like, there's really good sticks, like even
Yeah.
that are coming out of Pennsylvania and different stuff, And he's like, I like taking a pic. He's like, I like the way I feel when I'm smoking a Cuban cigar. I like the way it makes me feel.
There
And I
you
was
go.
like, that's
Yeah,
reason
and
enough, dude.
That's 100% reason
And
enough.
that's why you should smoke. Like that's what the cigar culture should be. You enjoy it because X, and that's fine.
That's plenty good enough reason.
If you like your gas station stick, smoke that.
Oh,
And enjoy the
absolutely.
hell out of it. You know what I mean?
and we were talking earlier in general about like the more you have, the more you have to lose, like that concept. And we were saying how like I've read that they say it's like $60,000 or $70,000 a year in income is like the perfect amount of happiness. It probably depends where you live, but
Did you recently look that up or see that?
no, that's something I've heard for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just saw there was it came up in my newsfeed and it was like in a weird Men's Health article and it was like the perfect income for happiness. And they must have done this longitudinal
And what
study.
did it say? Do you
It was
remember?
95,000.
95. Okay.
But I mean, so if you were a couple years ago, think of inflation, right?
Yeah,
That makes
absolutely.
sense. But it makes sense. You're not in that six-figure whatever.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable life. Where the average? Do you know what the average U.S. income? Because it was in that thing, like I believe it's the average, not the
23.
median.
Oh, the average. I don't know.
Like the average United States income was like 62 or something
Okay.
like that. Like I guess across
Yeah.
all demographics.
Sure. Yeah, and so which I totally believe in, right? Like more you have, the more you kind of quote have to lose, if you will. But with that, comes like appearances and sometimes in those kind of things, and maybe
Right.
you fancy yourself. If it's a stick isn't more than a certain amount, like it's just
Right.
not in your league or whatever, and that's fine. Have you ever, how sometimes? Sorry, so I was in the Marines stationed at Camp Pendleton.
Mhm.
And over the years, I've had a few people, as I mentioned that to them, they might say, oh, do you know Bob Smith? Like he was also stationed at Camp Pendleton. And what they don't realize is that Camp Pendleton is bigger than like Camden County, New Jersey.
Right.
Or like, I don't know if
Right.
it really is, but it's massive and then tens and thousands of people and all that stuff.
And then time frames.
But so I only bring that up to say, have you ever had something where maybe you have a friend over and you're like, hey, I'm into cigars. I'm going to have a cigar. Would you like one? And you don't know if they smoke or not, maybe. And they might say, oh, I have a cigar every once in a while. Do you have a Davidoff 1946? Like, have you ever had that happen?
No.
It's like a similar thing. I've had it happen more than once. And I'm
Well,
like,
someone asked for a specific.
yeah, because they're not a cigar smoker, but they had one time with
Gotcha.
somebody.
Yeah.
And so that becomes, they're like, but
That's
it's,
what a cigar is. And you know what? Like that.
it's
that's
it's just funny.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny, a funny little anecdote. It's similar to being like, oh, you're from New Jersey? Do you know Gary? Gary
Right.
lives in New
Right.
Jersey.
And that must be like from the imprinting, like psychologically speaking. Like if I said to you, close your eyes and imagine a dog, you would most likely say like a dog that you're familiar with, either a childhood dog, your mom's dogs, whatever.
Snoopy.
Like, or Snoopy, you would describe whatever is meaningful to you. I could ask 10 different people and get 10 different dogs because that means that to them. So, yeah, I mean, so if they had an Fuente with their father-in-law or whatever at a wedding. They had this.
That's
what a
100%
cigar
true.
is.
For
You know what I mean?
sure.
So it's kind of why it's important to kind of expand your palate, because there are some people that literally smoke. Like I see pictures, especially on certain websites, where guys have 10, 20 boxes of the same stick. Like filled my humidor.
Well, I think I'd mentioned this to you before. I was talking to a mutual connection of ours, a guy that owns a shop, and he said that by far the vast majority of his customers, then when they come in on whatever interval, maybe it's once a month, every couple months, and they buy the same box every time.
Yeah.
To me, that sounds crazy, but at the same time, it doesn't, because
you know what you're
there's
getting.
like, I don't know, like all different kinds of restaurants that have tons of food, and I kind of just get the same thing every time. I want to try their other stuff, I really do, but I'll miss my thing, and oftentimes when I think about going to that restaurant, I don't think about that restaurant. I think about that dish that I like, and so I guess it's similar, right? If somebody's only had one or two cigars and they know what they are, they know what they like.
And it's a dice roll.
When they think about cigars, they don't think about cigars. They think about that cigar, like you just said.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. Total sense. So, all right, Gary, we're wrapping this bad boy up here. I actually just got a little wrapper, a little burnt, a little funny
Touch-up?
there. A little touch-up, first touch-up, but that's...
Yeah, look at that. Kind of mine too.
Oh, I was going to say it's likely my fault, but maybe that's just where we're at in the stick. Maybe it's kind of time to call it. So... I do concur that it got stronger at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually worried about that because I was saying I hadn't eaten in a little while, and I was worried to have a stick that might be really high in nicotine. But this doesn't feel. I
can see where some would be
stronger.
heavy-ish, but not overpowering.
Yeah,
and I've been retrohaling too, so I feel like if it was going to hit me, it would have hit me.
Yeah. I don't feel it didn't knock me out at all. So anybody that reads that in a review, I'll say, give it a shot. Don't let that scare you away either.
Yeah, no, don't let if you can find one, if offered to you, or if you can afford it. I think it's a nice treat. Would not be my everyday smoke, just for financial reasons.
I couldn't afford it.
Exactly. But I will say, if you gave me this versus some of the other barrel fermented that I know, I would pick this up again.
Yes,
I would choose this because A, I like the quality and the construction of it. B, the flavor was consistent throughout the whole thing. Got a little stronger, which is fun towards the end, and I really enjoyed it.
Once again, couldn't say it better myself, bub. So we'll call this here. Look forward to shooting episode 10 with you next week.
Can't believe it.
Maybe we'll try to do something a little bit more creative, a little fun, because it is a holiday week. So maybe we'll be able to pull somebody else into our 10th episode. So without further ado, as always, long ashes.
Stay smoky, everybody.
Thanks for checking out the Cedar Culture podcast. If you'd like that episode, go ahead, tap, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on your platform of choice. And if you are on YouTube, hit that bell as well to be notified of new episodes. It really helps us out. We appreciate it.
And then don't forget to head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow us as well.
Do it.
Do it.